Hi, my name is Marty. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm going to teach you how to make pizza. If you know me, you know that I'm Italian. It takes about 5 minutes for it to come up in conversation, max, pretty much every conversation. This recipe, though, I actually am not 100% sure where it came from. It's a little bit of a mystery to me. I found it years ago when I was looking for a pizza recipe that didn't take a lot of time or a lot of kneading, and pretty much I've never found it again. I wrote it down in my notebook, and I've tried to find it by looking backwards for it and everything, and never found it again. So it's a good recipe. I love it, but it's a little bit of a mystery. The last video that I made for bread, I realized afterwards was about 26 minutes long, which is longer than I'd like. So we're gonna get right into it. All right. So pizza dough is a bread, basically, at its core. We talked about last time with the video with the bread loaves that you're basically going to have kind of the same ingredients for bread in general. So this one is going to use yeast, which I talked about a lot in that video too. So our first ingredient that we need is water, which about a cup of warm water. So this is just above room temperature that if you were to run your hand under it, it'd be what you would consider warm. You don't want it to be too cold because then the yeast won't work, but you don't want it to be hot either because then it'll kill the yeast and the yeast won't work either. I'm going to pour that right into my bowl. Alright, and then I'm going to take my yeast, which again, talked in the last video about how you can open it by tearing it, but it's a struggle, so I just use scissors every time. And then I'm going to pour it in. I'm going to try and get it evenly. So 1 cup of water, 1 packet of yeast. You can even see it better in this one than the last one, because the last one it was mixed in with the flour. Alright, so we're going to make sure that's all in there. Alright, so the next thing that the yeast needs is sugar, because it's going to eat that as it's growing. So I'm going to take my sugar, and I am going to do 1 teaspoon. So again, 1 cup of water, 1 packet of yeast, 1 teaspoon of sugar. Yeah, you can even see how that's starting to foam up with the warmth. That's so cool. Alright, so I'm going to sprinkle that sugar kind of the same way all around. It's probably going to push some of the yeast underwater. That's fine. That's good. If you want, you can even take a spoon and stir the yeast into it better. I don't usually do that because I feel like it kind of knocks underwater too much, but you know, the world is your oyster. And alright, so that's actually the first half of this recipe, and we're going to let that sit for 10 minutes at room temperature. You don't have to cover it anything because it's so quick, but again, 1 cup of water, 1 packet of yeast, 1 teaspoon of sugar, and let it sit for 10 minutes. So if you haven't washed your hands yet at this point, you should, because it's going to be turned into dough pretty much right away. So we're going to add our next 3 ingredients to the dough, which are also our last 3 ingredients. First one, salt. Second, oil. Third, flour. So we're going to do 1 teaspoon of salt. Yeah, you can even see in there how much it puffed up. Man, I love yeast. So exciting. It's like that instant gratification of seeing something, you know, doing something, I guess. I don't know. I'm a man of simple pleasures. Alright, 1 teaspoon of salt, and that's just going to add some flavor to our dough. Just going to sprinkle that in. Then we are going to do 2 tablespoons of olive oil. You can get fancy with olive oil, you don't have to. 1. I'm going to do 1 more. So again, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and last but not least, our flour. And we are going to do 2.5 cups of flour. So I'm going to fill this 2 times and then going to go halfway where that mark is another time. Again, you might have to use 2 separate measuring cups. I'm going to spoon and level it like I've been doing too. I love pizza for a lot of reasons. I love how many things you can put on it. I love that you can pretty much make it whatever you want. So that's 1 cup. You know, there's so many varieties of pizza. Got your thin crust, Got your deep dish, your Sicilian slice, aka beach pizza for my Massachusetts friends. That's 2. We're gonna do a half. Man, I love beach pizza. And it would be so great to find somewhere out here that has it, but I have yet to. There's something special about it though. Alright, that's about a half a cup. So, we're going to mix that together just until it's kind of combined. What's everybody's favorite pizza topping?
Cream cheese.
Yuck.
It's true.
That's some Midwest fun right there.
Nope, it's delicious. And you put some spicy pepperoni or sausage and some spicy peppers, and then you put chunks of cream cheese on top of it, and it's like really creamy and hot and delicious.
Listen, I like all pizza but that. I just decided.
Well,
to each their own, and I'm glad you found a pizza that you like. It sounds interesting.
we all know what interesting means, Marty.
Massachusetts people, though. Alright, so we are going to let that rest again. I'm just kind of clumping it together a little better. We're going to let that rest again, and this time we're going to do about 5 to 10 minutes. You don't want to do too long, because the longer that this dough sits, kind of the tougher that it gets, which makes kind of like a more deep dish crust, and if you like deep dish pizza, well, you don't in my house. So we're only going to let that rest for about 5 to 10 minutes, and we'll be back. Alright, so at any point now you can start preheating your oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit, which is just under what we did for bread. Again, 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Also, while this is resting, you can start getting your toppings ready, so anything you want to put on the dough. So, to get started making our pizza, we're going to take a little more olive oil, and we're going to pour just a little bit on our pan. That's an Italian, just a little bit. That's fine. Have a little. You can kind of move it around just a little bit. You don't have to get it too far though, because what we are going to do is we're going to take our dough. It's a little wetter than I want it to be right now, so I am going to take some flour on my hands. And I'm not going to need it too much, but I'm going to get just a little bit in there. That's a little easier to handle. Because we are going to stretch this out on the pan. It's going to be kind of hard to do if it rips on us, which happens pretty regularly, so that's okay if it does. Alright, so we are going to take our dough and put that right in the middle of the oil. You can actually use the dough to push the oil around the pan a little more. If you're someone who's always wanted to do like the spinny pizza dough thing, this is not the recipe for that. Sorry. So, we are going to get right in there, and we're going to spread the dough out. Again, really important to wash your hands with this recipe. So, it's going to take a minute to do it right. It's better to take your time than to go too fast, because, again, you're probably going to rip it. I'm probably going to rip it while doing this video, but it's a little tricky. It's easier to not rip it at all than it is to fix it once you've ripped it. So yeah, that's stretching out pretty nicely. That's good. And this is just like a standard size cookie pan. You can do it in a round pan if you want. I like doing square slices, just a preference. I like it because it's easier to store after, because I'm not going to eat a whole pizza in one sitting, most nights. And it makes it a little easier to fit into Tupperware, makes it a little easier to store. It's a little easier to spread it out evenly. right up into the corners. Yeah, so that started to rip a little bit. And I pushed it back together. But if it does rip, you know what? I'm going to make a rip on purpose once I get this stretched out so I can show you how to fix it. Gonna cause a problem on purpose. We've all been there. If I had to say, because I do like almost all pizza, if I had to say my favorite type of pizza, my favorite place to get pizza, I really like Stacci's, which is in Massachusetts. I really like their eggplant and ricotta pizza. It's like a super tasty combination. And I also really like Tripoli's, which is beach pizza or Sicilian slice. And I like their normal pizza, but you get the extra cheese with the slice of provolone on top. Get yourself a nice edge piece. Best of both worlds, a little bit of crust, a little bit of not. Madonna mia, is that good. Alright, so I do have a little hole here, so I'm going to work with this guy. So if it starts to rip a little bit like that, you're going to want to just pinch it back together as best you can. And again, this dough is made really well. Go me. So I do have a little bit of a hole over here that keeps kind of opening up. So I'm going to pinch that one together as well. And if they're being stubborn, what you can do is you can take a little more flour on your hands and kind of patch it up with that. Because if you have a hole in the bottom of your pizza, what's going to happen to your sauce?
It's going to fall out.
Thank you. It's going to go through the hole, which would be messy and not too great. So yeah, now I'm just kind of trying to even out the thickness of the dough. Because like some parts here are a little thinner, some parts like up here are a little thicker. Again, I like my crust a little on the thin side. That's just a personal preference. If you really like deep dish, maybe we can talk, but that's my preference. Alright, so now you're going to start adding your sauce, cheese, toppings. If you want to do like a stuffed crust type thing, now is a good time to do it. I've done that with this dough and it's pretty darn tasty. And all you would do for that is put some cheese right along the edge, right along the edges, and then just roll that a little bit and stretch it further. So, fun little thing you can try. Normally when I make pizza, I like to make my own sauce to put on top. Today, I'm not feeling making sauce. It's a longer process. So we're just going to use straight up marinara sauce. You can do pretty much whatever you want on here. They sell like pizza sauce that's like a little more even consistency, but I like marinara because I like a little heft to it. Just a little bit. So that's a lot of it. Probably going to take some of that off. But to get it even, I'm just going to take a spatula. You can use the back of a spoon if you want. Pizza's kind of about feeling it out and deciding what you like and what you don't. I like my sauce to be as even as possible, so I usually use a spatula. But I've used the same spoon that I've used to make the dough before. If I'm not feeling like washing more dishes, you can do it pretty much any way you want. Yeah, I don't like to put too much sauce on because I don't like when it like goes everywhere when I pick up my pizza. Again, maybe that's just a I don't like deep dish thing. I don't know. Maybe I haven't had good deep dish. I'm open to the possibility of deep dish pizza. I can let that in my life. Alright. This is the true action that you come to YouTube for, is spreading sauce on a pizza dough. So, having a little bit of issue with the camera, but we got our cheese on. And again, pizza's pretty cool because it's pretty much about what you like. I like where you can kind of see the red through a little bit, but it's not like too much. I like a good even covering of cheese rather. You can play around with like what different combinations of flavors you like to. You can use a white sauce, you can use like no cheese, you can use big slices of cheese. I just use this Italian style shredded blend, which is mozzarella, provolone, romano, asiago, parmesan, all that good stuff. So now we're gonna come down to our toppings. So I have some go-to favorites. I really like anchovies, I like caramelized onions. I found a good veggie sausage at Aldi that I've been slicing up and putting on lately. Today I'm gonna keep it relatively simple for me. I'm gonna do oregano, I'm gonna do crushed red pepper flakes, and I'm gonna do some garlic that I chopped up before. So come on in. And if you like, even when you make your dough, you can fold in some spices into it. I've done that before and it comes out pretty tasty. I just don't like to handle the dough too much. So I'm gonna start with my oregano. And if you use like a smaller herb like this, it's probably gonna come out kind of quickly, which is fine because I like a lot of it. And again, just up to you how much you like different places. I'm gonna do my red pepper. I like a lot of red pepper, so I'm gonna go kind of heavy on that one. Good. So, with your bigger toppings, you want to space them pretty evenly so that you don't have like, you know, a bunch of pepperoni in one corner and like none over there. I have gotten like an uneven distribution before and it's fine. I like it a little more even. So I've chopped garlic I chopped before. I'm gonna pop that right in my hand. Whoop! I'm gonna drop that right on my pizza. Alright, and I'm gonna sprinkle this kind of evenly across. You can be as intentional about it as you want. You can like individually place each, you know, sliver of green pepper. I don't care that much about it. All pizza's good pizza. Alright, so that's my toppings, that's my cheese, that's my sauce, that's my dough. Next thing we're gonna do, get in the oven. So again, our oven is 450 degrees Fahrenheit, which is pretty hot. I'm gonna put this in, top rack. So 450 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're gonna do 15 minutes on the timer. All right, our timer just went off, so we're gonna take our pizza out. And this one really, like pretty reliably is done right in 15 minutes. So, oh, that looks so good. All right, a little brown on the cheese, that's fine if you wanna do it a little less time. But, oh, man, I'm proud of this pizza. I'm proud of this one. And yeah, again, you can see I didn't do a whole lot of sauce. I didn't do a whole lot of cheese. If you want your pizza to have kind of more even coverage, you can. If you want less time to make the cheese a little lighter, you can as well. But that is pretty much exactly how I like it. So, you know. Alright, we're going to let that cool for a couple minutes, like 5-10 minutes, and then we'll dig in. Alright, we're going to cut into our pizza. Just about cool enough. And if you use a pizza cutter, like I'm using, I might have a hard time getting all the way to the edge. That's okay. Cutting a rectangular pizza, I usually do one big line and then 4 little lines. So that's going to be a big guy. That's alright. It's like, what, 3 o'clock? It's 4 o'clock Massachusetts time, so that's like almost dinner. Yeah, again, might be a little hard to get it off, but there we go. Yeah, you can see how like nice and thin that crust is. And I don't like a lot of sauce, I don't like a lot of cheese, but if you want more, you can. And that is how you make pizza.